All right, and we are going to. Normally, I would do this from a PowerPoint presentation style. However, I am going to be doing this straight off of a PDF that I have for you guys here. So we're going to be taking a look at this, and just to let people know that if there is changes to the kit, I will be highlighting it in green this time, which is going to share the differences for the characters. I'll just be honest, there's not a ton of changes for the rework characters, and of course with the new characters the kits are very long and we're going to be going through them together. Now Cap Sam did not have any changes to his basic ability. It's staying the same. Most of his kit actually is the same. He doesn't have a bad kit. We talked about that in the previous video as well. His kit is not that bad. So they basically just added in the Liberty trait to speed up here on his special, and ability energy here as well for the special too. His ultimate freedom flight, which is the speed bar stuff, that is staying the same. You can see here that they've added the Liberty trait in as well for the speed bar. So they, just to be clear, that the Liberty team will get 10% per character remaining, unlike normal allies who get 5%. So it's basically the equivalent to when he was when you were using him with skill characters in that. Now his passive also gives on spawn deflect and +1 deflect to all Liberty allies. And then he's got this really new interesting part, which makes me suggest that this is a team that you might be using on war defense, because otherwise why would they have added this in? When this character drops below 50% health, and if this character does not have 2 or more exhausted, clear taunt from self and apply 3 deflect, death proof, and defense up for 2 turns to self and Liberty, all Liberty allies. So, I mean, I guess a preservation mechanic for him, but also to the team too. So that part, I mean, it's not that insane, but I guess with the other characters combined, this might be a really big thing potentially, or a pretty big wall. But we won't know until we actually see them. Now that's a Cap Sam War Machine. I think that his basic is being improved. I don't know this 100%, but if they leave this at 140% damage, it is going to be god awful because it has very terrible numbers. So I do think that this is being improved to 250 from what I have understood. That being said, of course, like a lot of these videos, these are kind of early versions of the kit and could be subject to change. So do keep that in mind as well. Do we have that button? Yeah, there we go. Subject to change. So special, his missile system. If this character has 4 or more Liberty allies, flip defense up, deflect, and regeneration on primary and adjacent targets. Then he goes into his thing where he's attacking multiple times to primary and adjacent targets. It does a total of 4 attacks, so 90% and then 3 more times. So that's a total of 360% piercing. I think that's okay with the base stat increases. I think that's probably fine. They also got rid of this part where Iron Man was listed in this kit. I did some strike throughs on things that just got completely removed. His ultimate cluster bomb does clear barrier on all enemies now at the very start, and then does 340% damage. Maybe this might go up because they did remove this part of the kit, which is damage was increased by 30% per hero ally. So this was removed. Maybe these numbers might go up as a result. 340 nowadays for an ultimate seems pretty low. This attack cannot miss and also cannot be blocked, but it is not unavoidable. I feel like I should, honestly. If you've seen the animation, he just like sprays everywhere. But hey, you know. Anyways, his passive integrated targeting, when an enemy drops below 75% or 50% health, apply taunt to that target. This cannot be dodged or blocked. And on spawn, apply 2 death proof to self and all Liberty allies. This is going to be really important. This taunt mechanic, this team actually relies entirely on taunt on the enemy. So it is taking this part of War Machine's kit, and you're going to see it almost everywhere on the new characters, because they punish, they apply taunt to the enemies, to everyone, and they punish them for having taunt. So it's pretty crazy. We're going to get through it together. The first character we're going to be talking about, New Falcon. I'm calling him New Falcon because I know I'm going to probably screw up, and I don't want to embarrass myself. So anyways, basic Red Wing Assault. That's the name of his basic skill. It is pretty basic. Attack primary target for 350% damage and apply speed up to self and all Liberty allies. I guess it's okay. I don't know if he's necessary. I don't know about ISOs. Don't ask me about ISOs at this point in time. I haven't really thought that much about it. Special Brave Bird Dive Bomb. Flip all negative effects to positive effects on self and all Liberty allies. Okay. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 300% damage. Heal self, so he is going to have some support mechanics here. Heal support and all Liberty allies for 30% of his max health. And then in war, reduce speed bar by 50% on the primary target, and then apply safeguard for 2 turns to the team. So this is only in war where he applies the safeguard, so don't worry, it's not going to be too OP everywhere. This attack is unavoidable. Okay, so again, speed bar reduction only on the primary target as far as I'm aware, and it does have a healing mechanic. But actually what I like is that it flips first. I love it when skills flip first before flipping later. So because this does damage, right? If you have offense down or anything like that, they'll flip it first. His ultimate Raptor strikes. Heal self, again, another heal skill. So both skills are healing. So I guess it's probably a support character. Heal self and all Liberty allies for 40% of this character's max health. In war, generate 2 ability energy for self and all Liberty allies. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 350% damage and apply 2 vulnerable up to a max of 4 and then reduce speed bar by 30%. So this one does do it to adjacent targets as well, whereas the special only does it to the primary target, but does a little bit more. What's good about the ultimate is that it does appear to be in all game modes. It's just this part here that is in war for the ability energy for the team. Now his passive, air traffic control. The first time an enemy takes a turn, apply defense up for 2 turns, speed up for 2 turns, and immunity for 2 turns to self and all Liberty allies. This is pretty big. Basically, whoever it doesn't matter who it is, right? The entire team gets all of those buffs. I'm not 100%. We'll have to see whether or not they have spawn safeguard, because if they have spawn safeguard and then someone goes before them, then they're getting all of these buffs too, which is just pretty crazy. On enemy with taunt turn, this is very specific. If this character has 4 or more Liberty allies, fill speed bar by 50% for self and all Liberty allies. Now, taunt is pretty much going to be on all of the characters. We're going to see it on some of the other ones, and especially in war, this is going to happen. So when those characters go first, basically that one character is probably going to take a turn, and then the entire Liberty team is probably going to go after that. Enemies with taunt take an additional 25% damage. Now, you're also going to see this kind of stuff in the other character kits. They actually stack. So I believe this shows up 3 times on each of the new characters for a grand total of 75% additional damage, which is massive. I think some of these are also outside of war. In war on spawn, apply taunt for 2 turns to all enemies. That's what I'm talking about, is that immediately they're all going to have taunt. So this part up here, where the first time an enemy takes a, on enemy turn with taunt turn, they're all going to have it. This does, however, have to go through a focus check. That's why they gain 500% extra focus for this action. Falcon has that. Also gain plus 30% speed for Falcon until this character takes a turn. So I guess that's to push him to go first, be in front of some of the other characters. However, this is particularly in war. I don't know what the turn order is supposed to be for the team. However, at least in war, this is going to push him up in front of the other characters. Enemies cannot fill speed bar for themselves, allies, or enemies until this character takes a turn. So that's, of course, in war only as well. And enemies with taunt cannot gain immunity. So no Black Knight, no Gladiator, no whoever else has immunity on spawn. That's not happening, because as long as they have taunt, they cannot gain it at all throughout the fight. So pretty crazy. This team is already set up to possibly, with the healing from Falcon, could be a war defense nightmare. I don't know why does it look like that? Okay, so Patriot is the next character. His basic patriotic punch, attack primary target for 300% damage and apply 2 bleed. It's nothing that special. His special American Rush, attack all enemies for 300 for 50% piercing and 50% additional damage for each positive and negative effect on him, which could be quite a lot given that it's an AoE attack and piercing. So he's going to be the damage dealer of the team. Apply defense down for 2 turns as well. Heal self and all Liberty allies for 20. There's so much healing on this team for 20% of this character's max health. And in war, plus, I was supposed to put something down for that. I don't know why I missed that. I think it was 50% plus 50% crit chance. I'm pretty sure I had that, but I guess not. 50% crit chance against enemies with taunt. So again, the team is really punishing all characters with taunt, and because of Falcon above on that passive, they're all going to have it basically. His ultimate Star-Spangled Slam. Clear barrier on all enemies. So again, he's the second character. War Machine also has clear barrier on his ultimate. Apply offense up to self and all Liberty allies. This happens before the damage goes off. Clear death proof on primary and adjacent targets. So again, clearing that too as well before any damage. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 400% piercing and apply 2 bleed. In war, on kill, fill speed bar for self by 100%. Okay, so this kind of reminds me of Gamora. You know, when Gamora killed people on her ultimate, she got a free turn. And that's what this seems to be. However, it's only in war. It does do a lot of piercing damage, and also this attack gains a 100% crit chance against targets with taunt, which all of them are going to pretty much have anyways, and it can't be blocked. So it's going to do full damage, 400% piercing. If he does manage to land a killing blow on this, then he is going to be getting another turn for this. I don't think he's going to be doing this back-to-back necessarily, because I don't think there's a way for him to do that. But nonetheless, you know, it's still pretty crazy. Yeah, it could be really, really powerful. And finally, his passive red, white, and blue. On successful attack by this character or any Liberty ally. Yeah, sorry, the side is getting cut off slightly, I guess. On successful attack by this character or any Liberty ally, flip one negative effect to a positive effect on self and all Liberty allies. So that's pretty good. It's kind of like a cleansing mechanic. Well, not a cleansing, but you know, it's a self-flipping mechanic. On enemy turn, apply +1 taunt up to a max of 3 to that enemy. So not only do they get on spawn taunt by Falcon, they're also getting taunt every time they take their turn. If for whatever reason it gets removed or something, because right, anything that clears a positive effect has a possible chance of clearing the taunt, but they're almost always going to have taunt up. Until this character completes a turn, this character and all Liberty allies gain 200% focus. So this is interesting because this should also apply the additional focus, I guess, to Falcon's on spawn. If he needed any more focus, Falcon's on spawn taunt to the team, things like that as well. And he may be later in the turn order, so that's a thing too. Enemies with taunt, lower dodge chance by 100%. So no dodging, and they take an additional 25% damage. Now, this part does apply outside of war as well, so that's interesting. In war, the damage of this character and Liberty allies can only be reduced by offense down. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure. Let me know in the comments down below. Is this particular call out for a certain character that reduces damage done by other characters? Medusa? I'm not really thinking about war too much, so I don't know what this is actually calling out. If this character has 4 or more Liberty allies, lower the max barrier of all enemies by 30%. So this is pretty big too. You know, most characters are not going to have much over 40% max barrier, I think, depending on the team. Again, so this is a pretty big thing. And enemies with taunt cannot gain stealth. Pretty big one. And finally, we have Peggy Carter. She's pretty cool too. Her basic taking aim, attack primary target for 300% damage, and apply slow, and then copy and clear 2 random positive effects from primary target to self. This could be a pretty good striker action, I think. But hey, you know, again, not really into the ISOs right now. The special Surefire Bolt. Clear immunity from primary and adjacent targets. And then attack for 350% damage. And apply slow for 2 turns. And then apply stun to the primary target. And in war, apply trauma for 2 turns to the primary target. This attack is unavoidable. And if she has 3 or more Liberty allies, it cannot be blocked, which is a guaranteed stun, pretty much. Guaranteed stun and trauma. So this is going to be really good against your mythic characters that you will be able to land it on. Her ultimate, Crossfire. Clear all barrier from all enemies. That's the 3rd character, I think, now that has clear all barrier. Attack all enemies for 400% damage, plus apply slow for 2 turns, and plus 2 vulnerable, up to a max of 4. It also applies ability block for 2 turns, but only to the primary target. And in war, if this character has 3 or more Liberty allies, apply trauma. So AoE trauma for 2 turns to all enemies. Basically, most teams these days have trauma to some extent. It's just like it's everywhere, right? Trauma and safeguard is almost everywhere for the most part. And her passive, the Dryad, at the end of any Liberty ally turn, if this character does not have 2 or more exhausted, that's important, right? Attack the most injured enemy for 150% piercing. In war, attack that enemy for 200% piercing instead. So there's a retaliation attack here at the end of any... Well, it's not really a retaliate, is it? At the end of any Liberty ally turn. So it's the more turns that they take, the more damage that Peggy Carter is going to push out. What is really nice about this, it is viable in all game modes. It's just more powerful in war. It also applies slow and heal block to the enemy, kind of reminiscent of Gambit's ping there. Oh, there's my dog. But instead, not only does it do a heal block, but it also does slow. So that's pretty nice. Enemies with taunt take an additional 25% damage. So that's the 3rd time that that's appeared. So basically, you're going to chew through any enemies or almost anything in war. Like 75% additional damage taken is crazy, you know, because they're almost always going to have taunt up. So that's close to double damage in war. Some of this is not even in war. I'm not even sure how many. I think some of this is also outside of war. So this team could see some really valuable use in Cosmic Crucible as well. This exhausted part is outside of war. So I guess Crucible defense could be a big thing for this team too. We'll have to find out. And in war, enemies with slow cannot gain speed up. Now, I don't think that they have a way to. I don't think that they give slow on spawn. So you would still have to apply that. It just means like later in the fight, I guess, that they can't gain speed up. On successful hit by this character, apply taunt to each attack target. So again, they're not, 500%, they're always going to have taunt. That's pretty much what I've got out of this. If this character has 3 or more Liberty allies, enemy characters with slow cannot fill speed bar for themselves. So again, really important mechanic when it comes to turn bar manipulation. They won't be able to do that if they have slow. And then whenever the Liberty characters take turns, right, they're going to be doing the ping here with Peggy Carter, and that's going to apply slow as well. So that's going to be really important. However, this is, I guess it's the same character because it's going to be the most injured enemy. So really just targeting down a specific character in this case. But there is slow. There's AoE slow in the kit here. So lots of ways that they're going to be able to remove the turn bar from the team. And that is going to be the end of that for the kits for the Liberty team. There was a lot here, and they are going to be pretty exciting. However, I think, just based on what I was reading, honestly, I do think that they might have functionality outside of Alliance War, which is something that I would prefer. I do not like building characters that are specifically for war. Yes, I know that they're going to be better in Alliance War, and that's where you're going to get most of their use. However, there are war teams like Mercs for Money that I did manage to use in other game modes that we actually ended up needing for Shadow King Trial anyways. But they were and still are pretty good in Cosmic Crucible. So that's my hope for this upcoming Liberty team. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. I hope that you guys enjoyed that video. And if you did, make sure that you click that subscribe button down below. There's still 40 to 50% of you that have not subscribed to the channel, but still watch my videos when they come out. So I would greatly appreciate it if you click that button so we can keep doing things like this in the days and weeks ahead to come. That's it for me, everyone. Let me know what your thoughts are. And of course, until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon, signing out.